Hey, welcome back to my weekly reviews of Dragon Ball Super. Once again, thank you guys for the continued support with these. Today we're going to talk about episode 105, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel if you've been on the fringe or considering it, to make sure that you guys do not miss these weekly once again. So have an awesome day. Let's go ahead and get into it. So episode 105 was Roshi versus Universe 4, basically. So honestly, it wasn't like the best episode, but it was a really, really cool episode because it literally focused on Muten Roshi, Master Roshi, whatever, Turtle Hermit, from beginning to end, right? And there was also a semi-emotional scene in there from Goku and Krillin a little bit later on in the episode that we'll talk about. I say semi-emotional because, I feel like it could have been done a little bit better if that's what they were going for, but that's just me and my personal opinion. But just to give you guys a brief recap, he fights like, 3-4 battles in this? He fights off against the chick at the beginning, and they didn't really give out too many names, so forgive me for that. But they're inconsequential anyway. But he fights off against the chick who basically she has a really cool ability too, and I assume that a lot of characters could probably do something similar, but they just don't. But she's able to manipulate her energy into weapons, so that's really cool. And apparently, by the way, Master Roshi had been observing everybody, which is really cool, man, because it kind of shows you a little bit of context into why he is here. And there are instances in this where he's like, hey, I have experience, so on and so forth. You're the perfect enemy, yada, yada. He's been aware of his surroundings the entire Tournament of Power from beginning to where it's at. So that's why he's there, right? We had questions about Roshi. It's the experience factor. The old guy knows what he's doing. And he basically was scouting out the competition the entire time and picking and choosing his battles. It's like the best thing he could do. And then he basically has like a really cool drop line in there that made a lot of sense to me. It really resonated with me. He was like, hey, let me say this. My teammates are basically hot-headed, hot-blooded, and they're very powerful, but they're going to rush in and basically be predictable. So against you guys, and he said basically you guys, they can get tripped up against you guys, to paraphrase. So against the characters that have like special abilities, I'm best suited to fight you because I'm not going to do the same thing. And that really resonated with me because it's like exactly at that moment, it cuts to Goku entangled by that blue guy. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And if you watch it, they did kind of they're relying on power most of the time. And I mean, sometimes they have like, strategies and stuff with Gohan and Piccolo, so on and so forth. Most of the time, Goku and Vegeta are just flying into battle after battle after battle and not really giving it a second thought. I mean, the beginning of this Tournament of Power starts off with, the Trio of Dangers and that whole like universe ganging up on those guys pretty much. And it's like they let that happen because they just rushed in. So it really did resonate with me as far as like what he had to say and what had transpired thus far in the Tournament of Power. And he is able to beat the chick with the talismans. He's able to overcome the seduction chick. I'll probably use it as my thumbnail because clickbait. That's the most modest way of doing it too. Real reason is because I like it, and I'm gonna put it out there so you guys can like it too. But anyways, he's able to beat her, and then he comes up against Ganos, and points for knowing that one because they're like they said that name like 3 times. But Ganos is youthful, is what they say. They don't say he's like a kid or anything. I don't think they said he has youth, which could be perceived a couple different ways. It's probably relative to Roshi being old. That's probably what they mean by that. But anyway, Roshi is just like predicting all of his moves. And then they cut to Roshi with the footwork. I was like, oh my God, look at that footwork. I was like, I need SSJ9K to make a video on this, like a song or something on Roshi with the footwork, bro. And the one problem about that is that they kept using the same exact frames over, but still, it was still cool to see Roshi like predicting the moves like up, down, left, right. It's not like he's over here inputting, codes in a cheat code in a controller or something. You know what I'm saying? Like Game Shark stuff way back early 2000s. You know what I mean? But Roshi had that footwork. He was predicting everything from Ganos, but Ganos pulls a hit basically and continues to further his power throughout the duration of the battle and basically gains the upper hand post-transformation on Roshi, right? So Roshi is in a dire situation, and which, by the way, it was cool to see him use the Mafuba, especially because the Mafuba was touted. This is me rewinding a little bit, but it was touted as a move that basically kills you, which wasn't really necessarily the case in Dragon Ball, but that's how they had basically marketed it in the show. But we did see instances where it just simply didn't happen that way, right? But it seems like nowadays they have mastered it to a point where it just doesn't kill you. Trunks and even though Trunks just watched a freaking GodTube video on a cell phone. Oh my God. And Goku was training with it and stuff. And of course, Tien did it way back, or at least attempted to. So it doesn't do that anymore. So it's cool to see that broken out. And then we see the Universe 4 God of Destruction, the mouse guy, basically get into it with Beerus. And we get a whole Tom and Jerry moment. So that was pretty interesting too. But back to Ganos and Roshi's fight, I thought it was interesting because Ganos completely turns the tide of the battle. Roshi can no longer predict him. And it was funny, too, because there was a moment there with Ganos because he was like, wait, how is he avoiding all these attacks? It's like, bro, because he's literally predicting and dodging. Like, what do you mean? How is he doing that? Like, that should be like 101 for you, fighting 101. But, he gains the upper hand, and he's shooting off these electric moves. We see the return of the hypnosis attack. Roshi is breaking out the full Dragon Ball arsenal here. Tries to put Ganos to sleep. Ganos inflicts pain upon himself to snap himself out of that, which is pretty cool. That was an interesting idea, which makes a lot of sense, to snap himself out of it. And then Roshi basically says his goodbyes to Krillin and Goku. He's like, you guys basically showed me that I could surpass my limits. And he's like, keep living, keep eating. I'm saying, keep eating, keep making that money. He's just like, in all seriousness, he's like, yeah, keep living, have a good life, and all that stuff. Basically says his goodbye. He's like, this is the most powerful Kamehameha, which it can't be, because, Goku's like blue, and he's got to be like thousands of times stronger than Roshi by now. To highball, probably, but still, you know what I mean? But like, literally, it was his most powerful Kamehameha, and he basically put his life energy in there to put a little bit of headcanon in there, because after that blast, he collapses and basically dies. Goku goes blue, shakes free from his entanglement, because we have hentai going on, breaks free from his entanglement, flies over to Roshi, and is like in tears, and Krillin is in tears. Krillin's about to jump back in the arena. They play a really somber piece in the background, audio, really somber song in the background. Score is the right word. And Goku goes over there and tries to resuscitate him with the ki energy. And his ki does a weird thing where it like kind of expands across the screen in the area. And then Roshi starts coughing and he comes back. It was cool to see Goku cry, right? But I just feel like it could have been a little bit more impactful. But maybe because the only other time we've seen like a scenario like that, well, maybe not the only other time, because there's been a couple of them. I think there was one in Dragon Ball where Goku cried, when Krillin was dead and stuff like that. But what that really brought my mind back to is Future Trunks and Gohan, right? That really brought my mind back to that scenario. It's like, well, that was 10 times more impactful, but they kind of needed it to be that way. So the toning was a little different. So that makes sense. I just feel like it could have been done a little bit better, but it does get the point across, and the episode ends there. So it was a really cool episode to see Master Roshi get the spotlight, right? We've seen Piccolo get a little bit of it. We've seen Gohan, mainly Goku and Vegeta. Next week, we'll see a little bit of everybody, basically. It looks like Tien's participating. But I don't know. It just wasn't... It wasn't special. I don't want to say that. Like, I feel like some of the last couple episodes have been really good, but they've reached a really good point in this arc where like the episodes are consistently good, and that's all you can really ask for. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you did, leave a like on the video. Let's try to hit a like goal of 600 likes. Thank you guys for tuning in and the continued support. I'll catch you guys next week for the next review. Until then, have an awesome day. Stay swaggy. I'll catch you guys then. Peace out.